Well, thank you, Emma and the others, for the opportunity to share with you these thoughts I've been having, combining a lot of my experiences. On Tuesday, I had the opportunity to run a workshop on how to integrate data in QGIS from Illustrator and CAD, something that I do in my professional life. I work primarily in policy development for transport and land use. I use Geospatial. Analysis, of course, in that, and I use my legal training in putting that in a legal context. No, a policy needs to follow the law, so that's when things merge. And in that process, after doing many years of geospatial analysis, a question came to me, and seeing the huge change, extraordinary change, for the legal profession. By AI, I thought, is this wave of change going to come to us? And is there something I should share with people and so on? So this presentation attempts to do that. And I will spend 5 minutes first introducing the topic, and I'm going to open to questions because I want to hear your ideas first. And then I'll go back and give you what I think, my bad prediction of the future. And in that process, hopefully, we will all learn and give you something to take for your practice. If it's an academic or your private practice and you're worried that your competitors might be using ChatGPT and you're not. And what could actually be a good use of our energy in terms of AI. It's a little bit philosophical, less technical, and tries to reach into that, in creating that community and having that conversation about AI. So the key question that came to me were, what is new, what has changed? When I did my doctorate at Alabama University, I did use a little bit of AI. It was fuzzy numbers and machine learning. So I thought, no, I've seen this for many years. What have changed? And what could change in the future? If we hear it, we change the way we write emails to people, we change the way that we write reports. What is that change happening in the future? And is there a societal issue we are facing? Is this changing, a significant change humanity will have? And I see AI today similar to how nuclear energy was viewed in the 1930s. Remember, this is just before the Americans are about to drop the bomb in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. There is a lot of uncertainty. And hopefully at the end of the presentation, I will give you what I think is going to happen, but I want to hear also your views. So AI is not new. I heard it in multiple presentations here. We heard this wonderful analysis of artwork and how they're using machine learning and so on. And if I go in time in AI, there was this period in the 1990s in where there was about large data sets. So we started having all these data mining approaches, and we can cluster data, we can do all this analysis. And of course, touching on us in the special sector, we got data mining, semantic segmentation, the clustering. I remember at university learning about the different clustering methodologies that were based in machine learning and so on. And then there was kind of the second generation in where involved the human side. So we go data that is now related to our daily lives. And in here, we had in Geospatial the deep learning for satellite images. So automatic and semi-automatic extraction of features. So now a council can determine if you have or not a pool by going through the databases and said, oh no, this guy is not paying for the pool fees and so on. So there's kind of that data integration and an ability to not just have large data sets, but being able to get something that is really related to the human side. And the more modern that we got here, is the pattern recognition. It goes into much more the speech recognition, the vision, the be able, the dream that Elon Musk, who is completely wrong, told us that he will have automatic autonomous vehicles by 2022. It's 2024. And all that it still gives us a big change, because definitely it's much more, we get the better translation, multi-language, and many of those things. And I imagine you guys have recognized, and it happens in our sector, in things like semantic data generation, LiDAR, and the process of machine learning for putting together 3D images, photogrammetry converting into a new completely area, all days with the table and trying to determine the 3 dimension is completely gone. And the neural networks, ability to have a system in where, without a lot of parameters, the computer is able to learn. So we've seen it. We've been part of it, and it's been progressive. 30 years. So what is new? And what is new is that it touches, the latest generation touches in something very specific, which is the generative artificial intelligence. In other words, it produces things. And we've seen that production when you automatically extract, but now that production is in something that everyone in society recognizes, which is context, text, images, synthetic data. So it's able to create something that everyone can relate to. And uses natural language processing. So being able to not have these complex codes and interaction that we used to have with computers, but the same way that I communicate, the computer resolve the algorithm without needing to have a translation between my coding and my language. So that's why I type in natural language to ChatGPT. And machine learning, which is not new, by the way, but what is new, it reduces the need for explicit code. So you can teach ChatGPT about a particular topic. I'm working at the moment in an article. I gave it some other articles. I gave it my style of writing. I gave it my opinions, my challenges, and so on. So it's learning with me without me having to do complex coding to do it. The image you can see there is the image from Google, in which shows us what is the difference between AI, generative AI, and normal programming algorithm solutions. And the big difference is the output. The process is still the same. There's a system in where you have inputs and the outputs, but the output on the AI is in natural language, images, and audios, instead of what we used to be, and then converting to some things where numbers, discrete class, and a little bit of probability and things like that. So the output, the shape of the output have changed. And that output is very close to us, because is the way we communicate as in society. So when I use my legal skills to look into my policies, if they get complied, when I advocating for a particular issue in VCAT and so on, the disruption of this generative language AI to law has been significant, and it continues rapidly, right? So there definitely is an automation of data and research task. So it's now, you get into a situation in where you need to go to case law, and you can rapidly acquire the cases that you think they are related, and you don't have to read hundreds, if not thousands of pages to understand those cases. That mining is done by any of the generative AI. You can use Gemini, you can use ChatGPT. There's one tool by Google called Notebook LM, and it allows that particular thing of getting a lot of material and try to synthesize it for you. And therefore, law firms are not using a lot of what they used to call paralegal, or students, or like a level entry lawyer, in where you actually go and do that work for a senior lawyer, and then that senior lawyer will prepare and brief the advocate before court. It is much more done by AI, and it can be done directly by those that are going to do the strategic thinking. So the senior lawyer can say, hey, no, it's like I'm having a conversation with ChatGPT and say, hey, this is where I think this case is going. Give me cases that support it, give me cases that is against, and having that conversation. And of course, what have not changed is that at the highest level of interaction with AI, there is very limited support for ChatGPT. Very little barristers will tell you that they prepare their speech with ChatGPT. No, because they need to read the court. They need to read the situation. They got very little limited time when they're brave to be able to put forward a situation. Very quickly, then they need to analyze legal theory, remember the legislation and doing it, and it's all very dynamic, happening in a moment in which the court gives you a certain time, at a certain moment of a process to advocate. So very rarely is changing there. If you talk to the barristers, there's very little use of ChatGPT, very little, maybe for the emails, but not for advocating in court. The senior lawyers, strategically, there's no opportunity for ChatGPT to help, because the strategy requires that human interaction, that feeling. You know, what is this, the ruling of this previous court? What has been those changes, and how my case married to that? And that's very difficult to do ChatGPT, because a key aspect of the current artificial intelligence is that it's objective. It's based on an objective. You have to give it an objective. Is it apples good for me? Then ChatGPT can answer it. But if you say to ChatGPT, I like apples, can do nothing with it. There's not an objective. But if I tell you, Alex, I like apples. Does he? He got me a response. So that is the difference. There will be a moment in we can solve non-objectives, but we're not there yet, and we will chat about it in a minute. So acceptance of ChatGPT in the law sector is significant. And of course, those that they need it less, they are not too worried about it. Those that use it the most, they are interested to know how much it's disrupting. And the graph on the right is a graph by Deloitte showing how the practice has been changing. The practice has been changing and using more of these tools. Now, the pyramid inverts. In the previous pyramid of law, you can see the bottom is heavy on ChatGPT, AI, and light at the top. The more complex tasks given to the lawyers and the advocates, the barristers. But in medicine, it's the opposite. In medicine, the very difficult tasks, robotic surgery, brain robotic surgery, the decision what to cut is now taken by a computer. It gives us a red light. Did it? No, I don't think those cells are right. And that computer can see more than the surgeon. And that computer can move much gently than the surgeon, and have the ability to see more, because it's multispectral. Now, robotic surgery is multispectral. While the guy's trying to look through some lenses, the computer is seeing multispectral and helping decide, no, that is a good cell. No, that is nerve. No, that is cancer. And being able to support it. So they've been, the task of those, if you talk to very complex surgeons, the task has simplified that they now can do more surgeries, more different surgeries. So a surgeon that was specialized in knee can do knee and heel, and move into more areas. Internal surgery can do much more than just prostate, can do many more things, and you see the changes in medicine, because AI is at the top. But picking up the patients on the street after an accident, completely human. No AI needed. Yeah, maybe there might be some tools, how to use the defibrillator, how to help, but looking after the patients in hospitals, no disruption, very limited. Yeah, the scheduling, maybe, things like that. There is our nurses that go in there and help us and support us. The disruption is not happening at the bottom of the pyramid. It's happening at the top. The more complex, the more sophisticated, the more knowledge you wear in medicine, the more is a ChatGPT and other tools replacing you, because it can do it better. It can cut better. It can move better. It can see better than the surgeons. So I'm going to open to question now with the permission of Leo and others. Where are we in geospatial sector? I show you a pyramid heavy in the bottom of support, and a pyramid that is low, and pyramid heavy on support at the top, the more complex task. Where are we? Where is ChatGPT? AI, generative AI, is going to replace tasks or help us in tasks. It's going to be the more complex tasks, or the more data mining, what people think. So let's open to questions. Alex.
So I heard in chess, that the AIs are better than humans, and that was established quite a long time ago. But I think I read somewhere that even better is a centaur, so a human with an AI behind it, and that somehow adds a little bit of chaos or something weirdness that makes it even better. And I'd love to think, as someone's job who perhaps is threatened by AI, that me and code plus some kind of AI robot is better than just the AI alone.
Very good.
Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, interesting, centaur. I will keep that in mind. I definitely think that is the case. That is the case when the pyramid is moving, no, in law or in the other ones. The doctor is still there to make a decision. The question is how much of the center is the human and the person. So that balance is changing. But it's a very good point. I love that, and the term also. We'll put it in my next version of the presentation. What are the views? What is your experience today in the geospatial sector? What is happening? At the bottom? At the top?
Hey, so I've been working in, well, I say in AI, but we all know that's not a very meaningful thing to say, but I've been working in state government, teaching people how to use AI safely, separate from my spatial career. And at one point I encountered the spatial team within this state government organization, and they were all like, I'm not touching it, absolutely not. Just, it's not safe, it's not okay. And I managed to pull them around, and now they absolutely love it. What I've learned is because of the current limitations, because we're in such a niche field, the AI doesn't know much about what we do. Like, it knows some things, but if you ask for help with coding or how to do something in QGIS or ArcGIS Pro, sometimes it'll give you really outdated information. So I don't see it replacing us, but I do see it definitely supporting us. We get to this point where if you're not already trained or an expert in the field, it's going to be useless. Like if you're a student and you're really early on in the game, you're not going to solve your problems with AI. But for people like us in this room, yeah, you can argue with it. You can push back and say, hey, that's incorrect. And I found it really useful. I found it as like a massive accessibility tool as a chaos-brained ADHD person. Coding was hell for me before AI, but I've been able to achieve incredible things with the support of Claude and ChatGPT. So I'm a huge fan, and if anyone wants to talk about it, feel free to hit me up. But yeah, I just wanted to share that experience.
Perfect, thank you. Fantastic. Yes, I think I'm a great fan of it, particularly when I use it writing. My first language is not English, and my law professors, they think they write good English, and it's not me. It's by me. It's a centaur. It's a centaur with ideas, and I think I found it very useful, and I have some views, and I'm gonna, in the interest of time, I'm gonna move into what I think it is, and leave it open to hear more in the coffee break what you guys think, and perhaps start shaping a little bit of where will be a good places and we can put our energy as a geospatial community. So yes, Esri it has emphasis, and of course is riding the wave of AI. Of course, it's very commercial, very out there to people, and people have to feel it that you are in the latest thing and you can match the things. But their focus is data mining. Better data mining. We can do AI in data mining, so we help you getting more rich, more graphs, more put together. We can now we're better miners of data, and so on. Nobody knows the future. So I personally think we need to enjoy the present, and there are a couple of things to enjoy the present in terms of the geospatial and AI. The fourth, if not the fifth, industrial revolution is a reality. That's it. We are on it. If you haven't, you still on the third, quickly jump on the fourth, because probably we'll be in the fifth. And that means more software, more coding, and more digital tools. And soft skills will be needed the most. I agree with Alex on the Centaur. That part, even if it's little, is very important. It doesn't matter if you are heavily helped or not much, it becomes very important, because that will be a huge differentiator between you and your peers, your competitors, your students, and so on. That will be the key part. And when I look back at the 30 years, I think the impact is being graduated, and it's not sudden, and likely to continue the same way. Yes, there was a significant disruption for law and for doctors, but we're not doctors or lawyers. In our sector, we haven't seen suddenly that QGIS automatically with generative language can produce our maps or analysis or digest it and so on. No, it is going to improve and it's going to have a graduate process. Yes, more digital, but connected to societal needs and desire. So we will be always connected to the things that we care. Climate change, the need for more social justice, all those things, they will be always connected to our maps, and that will continue to guide us. And high-level thinking is not going to replace human interactions. You still have to have that need to have the human interaction for your things to happen. And it's not just about the results, but what are the key things that you are putting in part of your results. And for many of our tasks, hopefully you will find, like the lawyers are finding, that automation is not a scary future. No, Centaurs is not a scary future. It's going to give you better standards. It's going to give new jobs in new areas that haven't been explored. It's going to be better for life quality. We can do more with less resources, and ideally access knowledge to more people. One of the key things that is happening with AI in medicine is that in developed countries, including in Australia, AI assessment of a patient trusted 50%. In developing countries in Africa, it's 95%. And the reason is because it was that assessment or no assessment, because there's not enough doctors. So that trust that we have is being achieved in other places already. So we will have to build in that part, and I think we will build it with results. And I think geospatial analysis is not yet at the front of the top players. The top players are not putting, and one of the outputs we want is a map. And the output we want is data that is geospatially referenced, or a GIS system, or no, we're not at the top. They're investing at the top in other areas. And in areas that are as complex or more complex than ours, like autonomous driving. No, it has more variables than producing a map. But they're investing in those decisions to help aid by AI and not yet in ours. I haven't seen that heavy investment in our area by the big players. So we'll improve things, we will borrow from improvements in other areas, but unless we are the focus suddenly, there's not going to be a significant changes. Now, I'd left you with that question about nuclear energy. And nuclear energy had a significant concern in the 1930s and 1940s. And they were very right. They knew this was going to change the world, and it's been changing it. So I see AI today similarly to how nuclear energy was viewed in the 1930s and 40s. There is a lot of uncertainty. And unfortunately, like nuclear energy technology, AI is likely to be used for both peaceful and military purposes. It is likely to happen, in my view. My second conclusion is AI capabilities of both objective and not objective tasks, general purpose AI, might be here by the end of the century. So that think of the metrics and the ability of drones to have a non-objective life will take many years to be achieved. And this is very optimistic people that think the development is going to continue at the same pace as now. We have now tasks that are always objective. We give the task and the computer answers. And remember, I like apples. Give that to ChatGPT. Doesn't know what to do with it because I don't give an objective. Are apples good for me? It can answer it. But that part, we continue having the need for someone deciding on the objective that will be us humans. And finally, and with this, I will conclude, we have time in the geospatial sector. And as a community, we have time, I believe. And the geospatial sector, we have time to shape AI and ensure at least our maps, our satellite images and so on, can have a good focus. And we can start publishing and talking about how important it is for us that when we develop better maps and quicker and faster, they are developing good purposes that we all agree as a society that are ethical, that has a positive economic impact, of course, as a whole, a positive impact in our society. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Daniel. We have time for one more question, if there's any. Yes?
I had a question on the biases built into a lot of AI algorithms because of the training data and the attitude that was around, and probably still is, oh, the computer did it, so it's right. And how do we ensure that the biases are not baked in to our new systems using AI?
Very interesting. There was, I'm sorry I'm not going to answer your question. Perhaps someone has a better answer. I can think what is happening a little bit in the law sector, in where they're saying, oh, we need to have very unbiased judges. So what do we do about it? No, and this legal theory should be a natural law that is a supreme law of the people and the conscience driven, or should be a realistic, is you apply the law and that's all you do as a judge. No, trying to ignore all your human experience and so on. The answer is accepting that as a society, we give the role of the judiciary to be a human using that bias to make a decision. And we try to reduce it as much as possible by giving laws and case laws and all those kind of things. So I think if we're going to transfer that to that philosophical question as do we actually have an unbiased technical analysis? I don't think so. Still, there are the thesis under which we put it will have a bias. So what I think becomes more important is not trying to avoid a perfect system where it's not biased, but that people understand what is the analysis coming from, and perhaps people cannot say it was biased or not.
Thanks a lot, Daniel.
Thank you, Leo.
Thanks especially for giving such a great presentation with such a short notice.
Thank you.